Why does breathwork work?
We need to eat to fuel the brain and body. We need to breathe to fuel the brain and body. I could probably eat a little bit better. Exact same as breathing. There are specific breathing techniques to enhance human performance.
Welcome back to another episode of Self-Dom Beautiful Humans, a safe place to learn and get inspired to live your healthiest and most fulfilling life. I am Dom, your host, and I feel so grateful to be living my passion by getting to interview inspiring and knowledgeable guests. Breathwork has really become a more mainstream modality over the last few years, from once being seen as woo-woo to now buckets of evidence showcasing its ability to reduce stress and anxiety, regulate emotions, improve brain function and immune health, and heal trauma. From my own experience, it has connected me back to my feminine energy and to my body. It's given me presence and actually put me on a path to purpose by listening to my inner voice without distraction. So with that, I am so excited to have Rory Warnock on the podcast. Rory is a breathwork specialist and an ultramarathon runner. I was lucky enough to connect with him at a Lululemon event, and he will also be jumping on the mic for the Self-Love Thursday episodes. So you will all get to experience his breathwork techniques and his beautiful voice. Without further ado, here is Rory. Welcome to Self-Dom.
Thank you for having me.
We've
Lovely
all been
intro.
waiting to hear the voice. Like, they're like, what's his voice going to sound like? That was the first thing I noticed when you did the breathwork with Lululemon was your voice. I think it's such a good voice for breathwork.
Can you guess where it's from?
Well, you told me.
Where?
Edinburgh, Scotland.
When did I tell you that?
Just now. I asked you where are you from, and when you said Scotland.
Today?
Yes, like 1 minute ago.
It must be the heat. The heat's
No,
getting to me.
it's hot. It is hot in here. I actually had a shocker of a morning because I went for a big run. I got home and they're having some maintenance work done here. No waterworks in this house. And I was sweating. So I went in the ice bath and then I was like, I need to have a shower. So I ran down to the beach and I've just had like an ocean shower.
So you're not
So I
showered?
feel you with the heat right now. It's really, really hot, but we've got to be grateful for it, right?
Well, I think you're wise, and this grey t-shirt's going to be a different shade of grey at the end of this. But
It's all for the effect. It's all for the effect. So let's hear a little bit about you. So for people who don't know Rory, what do you do and what's your mission?
What I do, what's my mission? I am a breathwork coach. I specialise in evidence-based breathing tools and techniques to improve mental health and physical health. I fell into this space about 7 years ago. I guess we can go back maybe even to uni where I studied strength and conditioning science, so sports science. I've always had an interest in human development, human performance, but I never really understood where that could take me. Then challenges with my own mental health, living and working in London. I went along to a breathwork session, loved the experience, loved the way it made me feel, and just became hooked on feeling happy, joyful, calm, clear, all these amazing words that I hadn't really felt for probably 3 years. So that's now what I do with clients, patients, individuals and teams, just using specific techniques to improve life.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing to see how it's taking the world by storm at the moment. Every day I'm seeing it spoken about on news articles, obviously Instagram. Why does breathwork work?
Why does breathwork work? I'm trying to think where to start here. We can use specific breathing techniques reactively and proactively. So for example, if you're feeling stressed or anxious or overwhelmed in the moment, there are breathing techniques that you can use to help downregulate the nervous system to feel more clear, more calm, more balanced. If you're about to go on a podcast and you're feeling nervous, you can use slower breathing just to slow the heart rate down. If you are looking to improve your athletic performance, you can use nasal breathing to bring more oxygen to your tissues. If you're looking to improve your quality of sleep, you can use box breathing to reduce thinking of the past or the future. So the specific breathing techniques, pretty much from the moment you wake up in the morning to the moment you fall asleep, and even how you're breathing when you sleep matters. I often compare eating, so nutrition, and breathing. We need to eat to fuel the brain and body. We need to breathe to fuel the brain and body. Are you eating as well as you could to fuel your brain and body? I could probably eat a little bit better. Exact same as breathing. There are specific breathing techniques to enhance essentially human performance.
Yeah, I find that it's so true. Everybody breathes, everybody eats. Like, how can we improve that? And breathwork has been something I've started to incorporate a lot more into my life. I've been having a bit of a hard time this last month, and I went to a breakthrough breathwork on Sunday for an hour. And the whole time leading up to it, I thought, I don't want to go. I don't want to face it. I don't want to do it. And I went, and as soon as I put my hand on my heart, my hand on my belly, I just started crying. And I was like, this is going to be a shocking hour for me. I'm just going to cry. But actually, doing the breath work techniques and modalities calmed my nervous system. My Aura ring said I went into 13 minutes of napping.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I went in there thinking I'm going to be that girl at the breathwork who's crying, who's sobbing, who's screaming. But the techniques that we did, it was like a lot of the box breathing, slower exhales, longer exhales. And I really felt the power in that moment. The one thing I do want to talk to you about is I'm someone who goes to a breathwork like this maybe once every 2 weeks, but I'm not as good as doing breathwork every day. How often should we be doing it every day, and what modalities can we take in that are kind of simple for anyone to do?
Yeah, I think for a lot of the listeners who have never practiced breathwork or are still unsure what it is, think of breathwork as conscious breathing. So anytime you breathe in a conscious manner, a conscious pattern, that is breathwork. There are specific techniques to, as you mentioned in the beginning, to release trauma. There are certain techniques that you can just breathe normally. If you wanted to start somewhere and start implementing a specific technique day to day, a morning and an evening routine, I'd always tap into functional breathing, just simply breathing slower and deeper. There's a huge amount of benefits tapping into your physiology, the body, and the psychology, the brain, just by breathing slower and deeper. Personally, I don't really have a breathwork routine every single day. I've done this now for 7 years. I use it reactively and proactively. For example, every time I get in my car, I will do slow and deep breathing. I drive a lot from A to B to C to wherever. So I'll connect driving to slow and deep breathing. Every time I get into bed, I'll do 4-6 breathing. Put my mouth tape on, my eye mask on, 4-6 breathing. It's very sexy.
Can you explain the 4-6 breathing?
Yeah.
I also look so bad. Like, I laugh at myself when I go to bed.
Yeah, it's funny how much things change when you get into your 30s. Are you 30?
This year. But I heard you say something on a podcast which made me laugh. You were like, bed used to be for sex and something else, and now it's like this thing where it's like I'm going in there to sleep and that's it. And I was like, fuck, I'm the same.
Yeah,
very rigid.
Yeah, I think the excitement's kind of changed now, hasn't it?
Like, I get more excited about 8 hours of good, high quality. Like, when my sleep score's over 90, I'm like, fuck yeah.
I know. Nailed it.
Nailed it.
So 4-6 breathing, very simply, is 4 seconds in through the nose, 6 seconds out through the nose. By lengthening the exhale, it helps move into that parasympathetic dominant state. So parasympathetic is your rest and digest. Sympathetic is your fight or flight. Often, we as humans in society are in that high aroused, high alert fight or flight. Life is fast, life is busy, pretty chaotic at times. So it's very important to try and improve your quality of sleep to get into that parasympathetic rest and digest state.
Yeah.
Hopefully that answers it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what was the one that you do in the car?
Car is just simply slow and deep. Slow and deep. I don't count the seconds. I'm just connecting with the breath. I'm just breathing a little bit slower, a little bit deeper. If you have an Aura ring, which I can see you do, if you have a Whoop, if you have a Garmin, an Apple Watch, whatever it may be, you can just look at your heart rate and you'll see it go down. So just by breathing slower and deeper, tapping into your nervous system to reduce that autonomic stress.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I want to talk a little bit about pre-breathwork Rory. You said that it made you feel lighter and happier and joyful, and you hadn't felt that in a really long time. What was the first experience with breathwork? How did that play out? Because I know from my own experience going to breathwork classes around Sydney, often it's at least 80% women. I do find it is a lot more women going to these things.
Yeah, I still think there's quite feminine connotations to it. It's definitely men have a lot more resistance to tapping into self, and self-dom, right? It's a nice little tap into the podcast. Men definitely are avoidant, a lot more so than women, or maybe it's more of a masculine trait compared to a feminine trait. My first experience was definitely a lot more women as well. And even, when I was practicing a lot in London, it was a lot of women, but that I never shied away from that. I'm definitely proud of being able to tap into my masculine and my feminine, and I like that part of me. I'm definitely able to feel safe in that environment as well. Even the first time I tried breathwork, I cried, and I was okay to do that in front of a lot of women. And I know a lot of men would not want to do that. I've had plenty of men come up to me over the last 5-6 years saying, I don't want to do it. I don't want to cry in front of people. And I'm just like, why not, man? Like, this is life. This is reality. So yeah, it's definitely a lot more women than men still. However, one of my, I don't know the best word to use here. I like that I can bring men into the space. When I host sessions, if often there's 60, 70, 80% men in a room, I look around, I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, that's sick. We're doing breath work, we're tapping into our mental or physical, emotional, things may come up, but this is, 60% men who are wanting to better themselves and not avoiding and facing it, front on, which you and I know what that's like. That's challenging.
Yeah. So I want to go back. You went to this breathwork class. You said you were crying, quite emotional. Was there any part of you that thought, oh, I don't want to tap into that again?
No, because I liked to feel.
Did you feel like you were kind of flatlining with life before and it felt good to actually feel something?
Yeah, I was pretty numb. I was on antidepressants for a year. When I left university, my third year at uni, I was pretty depressed, crying myself to sleep most nights, was confused, didn't know what was going on. My first 2 years in corporate in London, just partying every weekend, booze, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, late nights, little sleep, just not good for your health. And then, when I practiced that first breathwork session and I felt all the feels, from the highs, the lows, the joy, the euphoria, the sadness, I became almost addicted or excited about feeling again, because I hadn't felt like that for 3 years. So I was more excited that I could do that through natural modalities, and I didn't have to take a substance to make me feel.
Yeah, I definitely connect with that. I think a lot of people who get into breathwork and who really, really like it for that reason, because it does give you that high or that like rush of feeling of something. And I think a lot of people do numb themselves now. I think it's really common for us to numb ourselves with maybe it's alcohol, maybe it's social media, whatever it is. It's just everything comes to us so easily now. No one wants to put the work in to feel anything. And like when you go to a breathwork session, you have to put the work in. You have to breathe. You have to. And to get the most out of it, you have to put the work in. It's breath work. You're going to be working for it. So, yeah, I definitely resonate with that. And I think if anyone's listening and they've never tried it before, start with some of those at-home techniques that you talk about, but then also book in and try a session. Like, go for it for 30, 40 minutes and just see how you feel. Because often for me, it's the next day that I feel the most alive. Like, I remember going for a run yesterday and I literally had my hands like, I felt on top of the world. Like I was running. I just felt so in it. And the more you do it, the more, I don't know, high you feel from life. You don't need these big, crazy uppers, Yeah,
and I agree. And I something that I've learned about myself definitely over the last few months is that I definitely search for sensation. And you can look at that as a negative often, but I run long distances to feel. I listen to music because it moves me. I practice breathwork because it moves me. I like saunas. I like ice baths. These are all things that create a different feeling from this natural line of consciousness. If I'm putting that effort and time into feeling sensation that will benefit me, I don't see that as a negative. I'm sure people would have different things to say about that, but at least I'm not, smashing drugs and drinking 2 bottles of wine every night. to feel different. You know, I'm running and practicing breath work. So in my mind, that's a good thing.
Would you think you're an extreme person?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people who kind of transition from the party scene to then like going all in with like the breath work, the ice baths, the saunas, it's like you've got an extreme personality type, and I agree. What would you rather put those extremes into?
Yeah.
What you're doing, helping people, your own wellness journey. We haven't even touched on the ultra running. Like everything is too extreme, but I don't think it. I agree with you. You're using it to your advantage.
Yeah, you know, it's almost like you've got to swap it for something, right? And,
Yeah.
you know, I can't just, and I know there's so much temptation in the world, in society, and I'm not the type of person to sit at home and just watch TV. You know, I like to live a big life and do wild and wacky things. And if that's, you know, running in mountains or practicing 3 hours of breath work, you know, and it makes me feel happy and makes me feel healthy and taps into various places and states in my mind, then I'm going to go all in. And I enjoy that.
Yeah.
It's a bit intense, but hey-ho.
No, because I would say I'm more of an extreme person. I think even, I don't know if we were talking on mic or off mic about it, but when you're doing work at home, if you don't want to do the work, you'll end up going and doing your laundry or your this. It's like you've got to be doing something. And
you're a
doer. And I'm also a doer. And I'm almost jealous of those people who can just sit on the couch and watch a film. Because I'm like, no, I need to be reading a self-help book or like.
But I think, I think people like you and I and your listeners probably can connect with this where, I think life can get quite intense where, during COVID, for example, every morning I was trying to meditate, then breathwork, then do my journaling. So my intentions, my gratitude, my affirmations. Then I was having to stretch, then I was having to do my yoga, and I was like, fuck, man. And if I missed something one morning, I was like, oh no, you missed it. Like, you're a loser.
Yeah.
Like, you're failing today. So you kind of have to, you kind of go on this journey of saying, what actually matters, where you're getting the most bang for your buck, where you're getting the most benefit. You don't have to do everything. Honestly, if you try to do everything, you'll miss out on things, and then you'll just psychologically get in your head and you'll just get annoyed at yourself.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And now I want to talk about is it ultra running? Or how do
Just long distance running, yeah. Ultra running, yeah.
What's the longest you've run?
The longest race is 250 kilometers.
How long does that take?
5 days.
So you camp on the so you have to run with your stuff?
Run with all your stuff. That was in the Atacama Desert.
Wow.
In Chile.
I've been there actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, it's amazing with the salt lakes.
Did you run through it?
No.
I ran through the salt lakes. Yeah.
That's so cool.
And
so earlier, dry. Oh my gosh, you've been so dry.
I mean, I don't know if you... When were you there?
Years ago, probably like 6 years ago.
Well, you probably remember, because it's a desert, during the night it's freezing.
Freezing,
So
yeah.
minus is -1. During the day, it goes up to 40. So at night, obviously, everything you have for your 5 days is in your bag, apart from water and tent. They provide you water and tents. So you try not to take too many clothes, because obviously you've got to carry it. So at night, you're cold and you're shivering in your tent and your sleeping bag. There's 8 randoms in the tent with you. We were even on one night, we're on a slant on a bit of a hill. So then we all just pushed into each other, and we're all just there, like kind of. And you don't shower for 5 days. You don't wash. You're sweaty. Yeah, it's a lot.
Oh my god.
So
He's an extreme person.
Yeah, that kind of goes back to what we were saying, right? 250 kilometers in Chile, 200 kilometers in Kyrgyzstan. That was about 6 months ago. One go, the furthest I've ran is 120 kilometers.
Wow.
So, but I think we'll probably get onto it. But it's not, I got into this for this. You know, I got into the long distance running for my mind, and it's predominantly to help me strengthen my mind and strengthen my my mental health. I think there's a lot of extreme people, and the world, maybe it's what I get, what I see on Instagram, but these like people who are trying to be savage and really intense, and hey, look how far I can run. I cry when I run a lot. For me, it's like an emotional journey. It's like it's like breathwork. It's like therapy. It's like whatever. So it's definitely not anything about look at me and look how far I can run. It is very much me against me, an internal journey. I have a nice bit of music on in my ears, and I'm just euphoric. It's unbelievable.
It's something I can now relate to, because my whole life I was like, I'm never going to do running. Like, I don't understand it. And my resolution for this year was to run 3 5K runs a week.
Yeah, great.
And now I'm like, I want to do more. I'm addicted. I love it. And like, it just fully changes your state of mind. Like, and I also love the idea that in the morning I'm like, oh, today's the day, I gotta go for a run. And then you do it, and then you get the dopamine because you actually worked for it, and you feel so good. And I'm blasting techno, and I'm just like, wow, like the world's amazing. Like the sunrises, it looks so good. I'm just like frothing out when I run.
Yeah.
So I fully get the runner's high. Like I fully understand why people are into the running. I understand all the run clubs. I'm so sorry for always talking down about them.
You're converted.
I'm
I
converted.
Like it.
But I have to say, the one thing when I'm running, I know I'm not breathing correctly. I'm like, how do I breathe?
Yeah, that's not good, Dom.
No. I know it's not good.
I mean, just to go back to what you're mentioning about the dopamine, and I watched your video the other day about the cocaine dopamine aspect and the rewards mechanism. I get like that as well. You know, most mornings, I reckon, or most days, 80% of the time, I don't want to run. 20% of the time, I'm like, I feel good, I'm ready for this. 80% of the time, I'm like, fuck, I don't want to do this. I cannot do this. And I'm kicking and screaming in my head. Sometimes it takes me 10 minutes to put a shoe on. And then I eventually do it, get out, I'm like, I love this.
Yeah.
Like it's this battle, this inner battle. And then get some good music on, you get going. And then the pride that I feel when I finish a run, whether it's a 5K, whether it's a 50K, it doesn't matter. Just the internal pride. Get back in my car, slam a chocolate milk or whatever it is, and just feel great. You know, it's no one else. I don't care. No one. The funny thing about running too is if I didn't do it, no one would give a shit.
No.
If I did it, no one gives a shit. It's literally me. You know, and that's the whole me v me or you v you thing, which I think is pretty cool. Breathing whilst running. Right.
Yeah, I'm not breathing.
Okay. You've got to take one step back to take 2 steps forward. So nasal breathing is how we should be breathing pretty much.
So put my mouth tape on and run.
You don't have to.
I look so silly.
You know quite a lot of people around here. I wouldn't do it around Bondi. People are like, what is Dom doing? Yeah. But I have a bit of, I'll often put some nose tape on, nose strips on, and it just helps open up my schnoz. So when you're breathing through your nose, instead of forcefully breathing and then your wee nostrils caving in, like that happening, this goes.
And you get more in.
Get more airflow. So take one step back, slow the pace down, become more able at nasal breathing. More
so
rhythmic.
You don't have your mouth open when you're running at all?
Only if I'm, sprinting up a hill or if I'm sprinting on a flat.
Yeah.
But I would say 90% of the time.
Wow.
I ran the Sydney Marathon with my mouth taped. So, it was, how long's a marathon again?
40 something. Half marathon's 21.
26 miles is 42
Yeah, it's 42
kilometers.
Ks.
I should probably know this, shouldn't I?
Yeah. He's like, I do ultramarathons.
I don't, yeah.
There's nothing.
I've only ever ran one marathon. So I did Sydney Marathon with mouth taped just to prove and demonstrate that you can perform for a long duration, a marathon, just through nasal breathing.
Wow.
And that was no food, no water. So mouth taped.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
Breathing.
Oh, my God. No jellies.
I actually picked one up. Someone had one at the side, and I was getting pretty hungry around 35K. So I had about 7K left. And I grabbed one. I was trying to see if I could put it in, and I was like, oh, it's not going to work, is it?
Oh, because you were doing it for the whole to prove a point.
Yeah, people were like, why don't you just eat? I was like, because if I ate, I would have ended up or inevitably been breathing through my mouth. So I just wanted to keep it closed the whole time. I actually just wanted to see if I could do it. I didn't know if I could do it. But then when I finished across the finish line, I just ate that snake so quick. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, the hunger thing's a real thing because I haven't done any long distance yet, but sometimes I run from here to Coogee and then I walk back and I'm starving. I feel like no other exercise makes me feel hungry instantly or during. I'm like, whoa, you're burning.
You got to fuel though. It depends. Do you run in the morning?
Yeah, but I have to eat before.
Yeah, what do you eat before?
You have coconut yogurt, protein, and berries.
Yeah, so it's pretty good fuel. And even, if you feel like you're getting hungry, just start getting the wee gels.
I know, I really want to, but I feel like for my 5K run, it's a bit extra.
Nah, not at all. And if you're feeling hungry, then your body's depleted. You need fuel. You need fuel. I'll get you some gels.
Get me some. Well, do they have lots of sugar in them?
Probably. We need sugar as glucose. You need sugar.
Maybe I'll put some dates in my pocket.
Dates are good.
Yeah, and just
Get some
like
dates.
nibble
Yeah.
them on. Because I want to get from running 5Ks to a half marathon eventually.
When do you want to do a half?
So there's one actually on my birthday,
When's that?
which is my 30th, 4th of May.
4th of May. Is that the Hocker half?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I think you can do it.
I'm having my 30th the night before, but I don't drink alcohol. So I think I should be okay. It could be a kind of a cool thing. My birthday marathon, half mara.
I think you've spoken about it now.
So I have to do it. No, everyone's like, you're doing it.
This is your accountability. I'm going to be your
You
accountability
guys let
partner.
me know if I should enjoy my 30th.
You would still enjoy
I'll
it.
still enjoy it, but my sleep score won't be as good because I'll probably go to bed
Don't
still
look at
late.
don't look at it in the morning.
Okay.
Just run it.
Just do it.
If you've done the work,
Done the work.
You've done all the training from now until May. What's that? 4 months. We've got February, March, April, and then May. So 3 months.
Okay.
I think you could do it.
So a lot of my listeners are at this early phase with me where we've just started running. How do you get from running 5Ks to like 21?
I mean, firstly, I have a coach. Yeah, I think having a coach.
Really?
Yeah, I've had a coach since 2020.
A running coach?
Yeah, Greg Pearson.
Even just to do my half marathon run.
Honestly, like it keeps you accountable for one.
True.
He structures it all into my watch, so I don't even need to look. It just takes all the conscious thought away. I look at the start of the week, plan my week from Monday to Sunday, what I'm doing with work, what I'm doing with clients, what I'm doing in the gym, and then what I'm doing running. I look what he's planned for me, put it into my diary, and I just do it.
Wow.
There's no thought, which I quite like. So having a coach for one, or Runner is a pretty good app that I know a lot of people are using.
Runner.
Runner, yeah, RUNNA, I think it is.
Okay.
I think it's UK based, but that's fairly popular now. They just create plans. So just stick to a plan. Stick to a plan is what I'd recommend.
Yeah, everyone's like, don't overdo it.
Don't overdo it, but if you have a plan, you have a structure, and a coach, for example, you can monitor it and adapt it. I'm in a training block at the moment. The last 4 weeks have been 60K weeks. This week's 65 or 70. And if I start...
one hit?
No, 1 week.
Oh.
1 week.
I was like,
No. I'm not that mad.
No.
And you monitor it, you adapt it, you change it. If you're not feeling good, if you've got a little niggle, your ankle sore, you regress. If you're feeling good, you progress.
Yeah, and even just like before my running, what stretches and things should I do? Because I kind of just go. And I'm like, I need to be careful.
Think of RAMP, R-A-M-P. So raise the heart rate, activate the working muscles, mobilize the joints, and potentiate the body for the workout ahead. RAMP. Raise, activate, mobilize, potentiate.
Okay.
A lot of people would just do some flexibility and passive range of motion movement, but think of active range of movement. So things like squats, single-legged RDLs, lunges, anything in the T-spine as well, just some twist.
Yeah, I can do that.
Just get the blood flowing into the muscles that you're about to work.
Yeah.
Instead of just like swinging your legs. You see a lot of people just swinging the legs and give a bit of a shake of the arms. That right? That'll do.
Yeah.
Let's go then.
I don't even do that.
What do you do?
I just go.
To be fair, it's not. It's
I
not
still
the
have my
end of the world.
headphones on and I'm just like,
I do a little bit of movement before just to get the body moving. I'll warm my calves up as well because you think running is a single leg sport. You're only ever on one side
That's so true.
at a time, and a lot is just that impact into your calves. So I'll often just do some calf raises. Think of blood flow. You need that oxygen into the working muscles.
yeah. So I want to talk about mouth tape because obviously you've done your marathon with mouth tape, but are you strict on it every night?
No, I'm not, if I'm honest. I know through the last kind of 7 years of doing this and being fairly obsessed with breathing, I am a nasal breather. I used to be a mouth breather.
Well, I was going to say, surely your body has adapted by now. You've done all this training to
Yeah, no,
nose breathe. Like,
I've
if you're
done
not nose breathing, none of us...
I know.
Because so many people go, oh, I don't need mouth tape. I'm definitely a nose breather. And everyone's like, just try it, just try it.
Yeah, I think, for example, my allergies were quite bad last night, so my nose was blocked, and I was using my mouth to breathe, and I felt, today I don't feel like my cognition is where it should be. I'm not able to articulate. I took a session this morning. I didn't think I was firing. Didn't think I was that sharp. So there's definitely, and for examples like that, when I have to mouth breathe to survive, I then realize, oh fuck, I'm actually on something here. Like breathing is actually quite important. So
He's like, I knew it.
Yeah, I know.
fucking knew it.
So I don't tape my mouth every night, just because I know that I am a nasal breather from history.
If he's on a first date, he doesn't.
Hey, you want to go back to my house? I'm going to put my mouth tape on. Yeah, not very attractive,
It's
is it?
so good. No, you know what? I don't judge it now because I'm someone who just does it all. Like I remember before I met Tom, I was sleeping at this guy's house and I was like, do you have a pen and paper? I need to do my gratitude for full bed. Safe to say, I never got the call back.
Stop. No, you
And
did not.
I actually think about this day. I actually cry if he listens. He wouldn't, but like, I left the gratitude there. Like who knows what I wrote?
Do you remember what you wrote?
No, but I probably.
Come on.
I actually don't. But like, what if I wrote? I was grateful for the date we went on.
Ick. And he's like, abort.
I'm cringing for myself. Cringing.
Hey, it was never meant to be.
Okay, on that note though, going from dates and that, alcohol, often paired nicely with a date. But what are your views on alcohol?
What I views with alcohol, I think...
Well, do you drink?
I drink, yeah. Yeah, I do drink.
Well, he's a good Scottish man.
Nice accent. I saw you lining up with that one. Ready to go. Wow. I do drink. I think anything to an extreme becomes a negative.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know...
From the extreme himself.
Yeah, I've just been speaking about how extreme I am.
Yeah.
But no, I think I do feel like I have a
good relationship.
a good balance with alcohol at the moment. There's definitely been times in the past where I haven't, and I've had to check myself. I don't think I've ever gone down a bad path, but like I mentioned earlier, I think life and the world that we live in is full of temptation, and it's so easy to say, oh, just go out for one beer. That one beer turns to 3 beers, 3 beers turns to 5 beers. You know, then the sleep score is not where you want it to be. Yeah. This is why I've worn this since 2019. You know, I've worn it since December 2019 as my little accountability.
Do you have the tan line of it? Yeah. Is it really?
Dumb, it's awful.
Oh my God, show the camera.
Look at these both.
Oh my God. So that's when you know you really wear your Whoop and your Garmin.
Never take them
Why
off.
do you wear both?
Well, because the Whoop doesn't have a screen.
Oh yeah.
So I use the Apple for running, and I use this more just for readiness to perform, for sleep.
Yeah. You should just put them on the same wrist. Ick.
I do drink. Yes, I think I love. I used to work in bars. I've managed some bars in Edinburgh. I like a nice glass of wine. I love a Negroni. I think around a social environment, it can be fun. You know, one or two. For what I'd like to do in my life, you know, the past 5 years, you know, I very, very, very rarely will get drunk these days. I love what I do for work. I love what I do with running and exercise and training. I know from history, when I'm hungover, I do nothing. And, you know, people talk about when people get anxious when they're hungover, you know, and you know, sometimes it's about what they said or what they did the night before. It was never that for me, but it was more so the lack of productivity. You know, I like to be productive, talking about what we're mentioning, what we were talking about earlier. I like to feel like I'm doing something, I'm progressing, you know, whether that's tidying the bathroom or whether that's, you know, moving forward with breathwork or exercising. I just don't think getting pissed the whole time is very productive for that. So yeah, I drink, but definitely not how I used to in London.
Yeah, because I was thinking that obviously you said that you were on antidepressants and that you were, you know, living that party lifestyle. A lot of people, especially men, this is not a real sample of data, but from my experience.
Sample size of one.
Yeah, sample size of one. They are unable to have that healthy relationship because they were extreme with it. So it's like either I'm on a bender or I'm not drinking at all. I think that's actually a really big thing in this area too. So I think it's nice to hear that you just have a healthy relationship with alcohol, and that you built that because you love what you do.
Yeah, and you know, I definitely go through phases and times of my life where I don't drink. And, you know, whether that's if I've had a big December and let my hair down a couple too many times, then just trying to lock in and be a bit more focused. But, you know, where I'm currently at with my life and the way I'm currently feeling. I think so much it comes down to awareness. How are you feeling mentally, physically, emotionally? How are you progressing in life? What are your relationships like with yourself or with people around you? How are you running a business? And I'm currently, thankfully, gratefully, pretty happy with how things are. If things needed to change, then I would change them, and I'd be reactive to that. But I think it's nice, especially summer. I enjoy a chill glass of red sitting out in Bondi.
Yeah.
I love where we live. This is pretty cool.
So good. The last thing I wanted to talk about on this pod with you is your journey from antidepressants to where you are now. Do you still take antidepressants?
No, I don't. No, I took them for about a year. And then I think a huge thing with getting off them, and I'm obviously not a doctor, so I know nothing, but I think a huge thing about getting off them is making sure you've changed your lifestyle, your behavior, your patterns, your routines to ensure that you have everything in place ready. I know plenty of people who will still live the same lifestyle, be taking the antidepressants or the SSRIs or benzos, whatever they are taking or have been taking, and then just want to get off them and almost go cold turkey. It's like you can't just stop. So this is, when I got off them, I was doing my journaling, I was doing a lot of yoga, I was doing a lot of breath work, a lot of running, a lot of just personal growth, and it was a big change in my life. Drinking a lot less, sleeping a lot more. So just completely shifting and changing my lifestyle. So yeah, I think it's important that you make sure that you can change it and swap the lifestyle rather than just going cold turkey.
Yeah, I think it's important. I also think it's inspiring for people to know that there are natural ways if you do want to try those natural things while you're on the antidepressants and see how they work for you. Going cold turkey with anything is not often the best way to do it, I think, personally.
I agree. And, like you mentioned earlier, Dom, where breath work is work, and anything that requires effort gives you often the biggest reward. Whether that's, building a business, whether that's starting a podcast, or whether that's running, breath work, a challenging ice bath, the reward comes. And rather than just taking a white pill, tapping into your breath, tapping into your nervous system, tapping into your physiology, your psychology to improve the way that you think, feel, and behave is definitely one of the most productive things that you can do.
Yeah, it's super inspiring. Well, I always end the podcast with the same question, which is, what advice would you give to your younger self?
I think it really depends on what age, because I've definitely changed a lot over the years, as I think most of us have. But I think the advice that I give to my younger self would just to be kind to myself and be kind to people around me. I know, go back to school, I probably could have been kinder to people around me. Then at university and after university, I wasn't very kind to myself. I didn't like who I was. And maybe a bit of trust as well. Trust that things will be okay and trust that things will work out. There's always a bit of fear involved. So trust and be kind.
Rory, thank you so much for jumping on the mic today. Where can everyone find you?
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. They can find me on Instagram is Rory Warnock _. My website is rorywarnock.com, and then come along to a session.
Yeah, epic. Well, we're going to have 4 sessions for February. We've got Self-Love Thursdays. So yeah, if you haven't tuned in, 1 will be out by the time this episode launches, and then we've got 3 more sessions. I will definitely be doing more in-persons with you. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, Dom.